podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone, joining me today from Bangladesh is Paul Van Meekeren, the Netherlands fast bowler who enjoyed a successful World Cup in October and November last year in Australia. Thanks for joining me, Paul.
Hi Stephen, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How's it going in BPL 9 playing for the Khulna Tigers, if I've got that right?
Yeah, correct. We've had our ups and downs. I think we hit a real down a couple nights ago when we couldn't chase 105, unfortunately, or 108, whatever it was, on a very good wicket. But we just flew into Select and we got 6 games left. So if we win the next 4 or 5, hopefully that sees us through to the playoffs.
Yeah, we're recording this podcast on the 26th of January. There's 7 teams in the Bangladesh Premier League. So you're hopeful of getting into the top, is it 5 to get into the playoffs?
I believe it's top 4, I think. But we've got the 6 games against the top 3 teams and Stelet, and I think it's Komila and Burashnal, if I pronounce it right. We got them left, and 2 of them look pretty much unstoppable. So yeah, we got some big games coming up, and we have to play at our best if we want to make everyone want to have a chance.
The wickets won't be suiting your fast bowling, will they?
First game actually was seaming around a little bit, but other than that, it's been pretty flat and probably more suitable to the batters. But it hasn't gone the way I wanted to so far. I've been happy with a couple of the performances, but yeah, I had to make a few adjustments and struggled a little bit the first couple of weeks with my body. That stiffened up a little bit. So I'm all good now, thanks to the magic work of the physio and the masseurs here. So I'm ready to go, but obviously we've got now 6 overseas players with Andy Balbirnie joining us today, and we can only play 4. So it's up to the coach, the captain, and the leadership team who they want to play. But it's going to be pretty tough to get into that team at the moment.
So what other overseas players have you got? Because you've got Wahab Riaz playing for you, haven't you? Yeah,
we got Wahab, who's probably at top of the leading wicket taker charts. We got Azam Khan, keeper and batter, who's scored 100 in our second game. So he's been pretty good for us. Now I have to pronounce it. It's Amat Butt, if I pronounce it right. Also a Pakistani player all round. He's been very good with the ball and hasn't had much chance yet with the bat. So hopefully in the next few games, when he's got an opportunity, he shows his qualities with that. And then we got Shai Hope, who played his first game the other night, the West Indian, and the Irish captain, Andy Balbirnie, who just joined us, who just finished up a Zimbabwe trip with Ireland. So yeah, we got our overseas stocks loaded now, and hopefully we can fire the next few games.
And what's the crowds been like?
Good, pretty loud, especially the evening games. They're coming in. So yeah, it's been pretty good so far. What you kind of expect, I guess, playing cricket in Asia with the passion they've got here for cricket. So yeah, there's a lot of celebrating, and especially when Tamim and the local big guys get on the big screen, there's a lot of shouting and celebrating. So yeah, quite a good experience so far.
Well, the playoffs are written down here start on the 12th of February and the final on the 16th of February. So good luck with the BPL 9. But I've got to talk about the amazing World Cup that the Netherlands had down under in October and November, and you've already qualified for 2024.
Yeah, no, that was quite a special World Cup, especially sort of, I think, up till the last game, we were pretty happy with the way we played. We had a little bit of luck making it through to the next stage because of the ups and downs in the group stage with Namibia beating Sri Lanka in the first game. But we didn't didn't put our best performance in until that last game. Really, we showed glimpses in how good and competitive we can be, but beating South Africa the last day really sort of made it from a tournament that would have been ifs and buts. And if we could have done that over, and if we were a little bit better that game, we probably could have beaten Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. But overall, it was a really good World Cup in the end. And I saw a tweet the other day of us sort of celebrating and the last ball of the game against South Africa. And then only then, which was a few days ago, it really sank in how big of a performance it was. And probably the upset it was with South Africa after the first few games in the group stage, looking like maybe one of the favorites of the tournament. So to send them packing and for us qualifying for the next World Cup was pretty special. And especially in a couple of days ago, it really sank in how good it was and how special the game was, I guess.
Yeah, I think all cricket fans just assumed they'd wake up that morning with South Africa winning their last game and qualify for the semi-finals and you went and beat them by 13 runs. In fact, your coach, Ryan Campbell, who's been on the paddock and the pavilion, he said that once you batted first, he was confident that you would beat them.
The one thing I kept saying to my guys when we were just chatting in the background was they always make a mistake at a World Cup. That's the history of South African cricket. And if there's just a glimpse that they could take the gas, they will take the gas if there's pressure. So if we can bat first, make 160, we can defend that. And, when they won the toss and said, we're going to bowl first, I actually was standing next to my assistant, James Hilditch, and said, mate, we're going to win this game.
Yeah, I guess with the total we got on the board, I can't even remember exactly how much it was, but with the score on the board and the bowling attack we've got, and probably the bowling has always been our strongest part of the game. So, to see the batters firing and put a very competitive score on the board, I think the way we had been bowling and the different skill set we got in the team gave us a lot of confidence. And then the game was in the balance for a while. And then Brendan Glover bowled an exceptional spell, picking up probably the 2 or 3 big batsmen in that team, saw us over the line. And we celebrated accordingly the last evening while we were out in Australia.
Yeah, this morning I watched the catch that Van der Merwe took when he got David Miller out. Well, what's he like to play for? He's got so much passion when he's bowling and taking wickets.
Yeah, I've been quite lucky to play with him for about 4 years outside the Dutch team. So I met him in Amsterdam when he played for the local cricket club there, and then me and him were both at Somerset. So I know Roofy quite well. He's just one of those guys who you want in your team. He just doesn't give up. He is great to talk to, and just got that knack of changing the game in a moment like that. And I guess you've seen it now for the people following the T20 or the SA20 that he didn't play the first couple of games for I think it's Eastern Cape Sunrisers. And since he's gone in, he's been quite a big impact. He got a 6 for and couple 2-wicket hauls, and he's not going for any runs. So he's just that ultimate competitor that just doesn't give up. And no matter if he's injured or not, he's on the park throwing himself around and giving his full 120% to the team, and puts himself sort of in the back of his mind. So he puts the team first and himself second, which you can't ask for anything more, I guess, from any team member.
No, they're the sort of players you want in a team. And you also beat Zimbabwe by 5 wickets, and you took 11 wickets in the tournament. You got the wickets of Rizwan, Bavuma, and KL Rahul for India. But I've got to ask you, what was it like bowling to Virat Kohli?
Actually, when him and Sky were batting together, it was I felt a lot more relaxed bowling at Virat than at Sky. Virat seemed because he's quite a traditional batsman. I felt like there was a little bit more room, I guess, for error, even though it's very small. And where with Sky, the way he was setting up in his stance, he felt like he could hit you anywhere from sort of covers to fine leg with the setup and the shots you've got. So every time I managed to get Sky or strike and ball Virat Kohli, I felt a lot more confident and comfortable. So actually bowling to Virat was actually quite a nice experience compared to the stress Sky gave me running in. So now obviously it was a special moment, and the crowd in Sydney was unbelievable and actually very friendly towards us. So that was quite one of those games that you remember for the rest of your life.
Just widening in the topic about Dutch cricket. When I spoke to Ryan last, he said that the sort of demise of the World Cricket League for the 50-over internationals would harm Dutch cricket. Do you think the same?
It would. I don't necessarily think it will harm Dutch cricket. It will harm any associate cricket. I mean, the platform it created in this case for one associate is it's a big loss. I mean, to get the opportunity to play 12 ODIs against the best teams in the world is something that's been taken away now. And the way the cricket schedule is at the moment is very tough for teams to actually want to play against us. So for them to have forced to play against us was, experience-wise for some of the guys, was incredible. I mean, some players like Vikram Singh, Shiraz Ahmed and Bastelede, who were with us at the World Cup, they literally went to the next level during last summer when we played West Indies, Pakistan, England and New Zealand at home, even though New Zealand were two separate T20s internationals. But just playing those games against those teams really took their game to the next level. And unfortunately, we didn't win any of those 11 games at home. But if you just break the games down, we competed against Pakistan in a couple of games where we would probably maybe say we should have won one. We competed against West Indies where we should have won one, and one game was in the balance for the majority of the game. So, and England is a different beast, but at times we really managed to control the game a little bit. Probably except the first ODI, but at times we just were able to compete against the big teams, against the best players in the world. And I mean, we're already showing it in T20 cricket that we can compete the whole game. And 50-over cricket, you just need to be a bit more consistent and do things right for a longer period of time. So, the more opportunity we get to those teams and those experiences, the more we're going to compete even at that level. And to take that away from associate cricket is it's probably not fair. And we maybe were not the team who were going to play in that league the next year, but maybe a Scotland or Namibia who maybe would get the opportunity by outranking us in whatever ranking system the ICC comes up with, or qualifying high in the next World Cup qualifying tournament, would see them play in that tournament. It's very unfortunate to see. So we're almost pretty much back to T20 cricket and the opportunities we get only at the World Cup level. So, we need to find a way to get more teams. I think we've said it at the World Cup, where why don't teams come to Netherlands or Scotland for their prep before playing England in international cricket? And Namibia, obviously next to South Africa, is a great team and a great place to prepare for a South Africa series. So if we can find ways to host teams for their preparation before playing England, that's a way forward. But that's up to the cricket boards to really sell that and show how good the preparation can be by coming to the Netherlands over preparing against and at different counties in the UK.
Well, that would seem a much better way, because the counties, put out second 11s, don't they, when they play against the touring sides. So to play against a competitive outfit who really want to perform would be a much better option.
I agree. When those tour games are on, it's quite often a big occasion for the county itself. But if you look at the teams that they put out, it's quite often a second string attack, because the county season is so high demanding on the bowlers that especially a lot of the bowlers who play consistently in the first team will get actually that week off or those couple of days off, and so they can recharge the batteries, and it's a very good run out for the batters against those oppositions. But yeah, we probably have a bowling attack that we can put on the park that can compete against county teams, and it will give us the experience to take our cricket to the next level, and I guess take world cricket to the next level by hopefully more upsets, or if you still want to call it upsets at some stage at World Cups.
Let's go back to your beginnings in cricket. Now, you're growing up in a football-loving country. We think of the Netherlands of Johan Cruyff and Virgil van Dijk now, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp. How did you start playing cricket?
That was my dad. So my dad joined a local football club in Haarlem, and during the summer they shovel out the halfway line at the football field and put some gravel in and roll a cricket mat on top of it, and that would be the cricket club for the summer. And he did both growing up. So when I was younger, he would take me to his football games after my local football game, and during the summer I would go to his games, cricket games, and just be around and throw a ball, hit a ball, kick a ball, pretty much the whole year around. So that's how I got into my cricket, and especially when I was growing up, that's how a lot of kids started playing cricket. Either their parents, if they had Dutch parents, their dad or mother quite often got into cricket via sort of a club that had both sports, or they had sort of a parent with an English or at that time quite often English or Australian or South African background, where nowadays the Asian community, the Asian expat community is a lot bigger, and we see a lot more of those kids who are born in the Netherlands coming through the ranks and making their debuts for the Dutch team, which is very exciting because they definitely help bringing the level of cricket, helping improving the level of cricket in the Netherlands, as we see a lot of more sort of the traditionally Dutch kids, or the Dutch born kids or Dutch background kids sort of not picking up cricket as much anymore. So there's some incredible talent in the Netherlands, and we need to find a way to harvest that talent and make sure they keep growing and keep becoming better, and hopefully then push guys in the national team for a spot.
So no cricket at schools at all?
No sports in school in general. So all sports in the Netherlands are gone through clubs. So you got your PE classes in school, and that's it. I played a bit of football for my school team, but that wasn't really school sports. It was sort of an extra class that you could take up on the side. You would train on a Thursday afternoon once every 2 weeks with your school team, and we had one field tournament and a street court tournament. But it's not really in Holland that you play sports in school. Everything has gone through the local football club, tennis club, hockey club, whatever club it is. So yeah, it's a slightly different setup than the UK.
And your progress as a youngster, did you play for the Netherlands for under 13, 15, 17s, things like that?
Yeah. So yeah, all the age group stuff, under 11, under 12, 13, 15, 17, 19, Dutch A. That's how I progressed to the national team.
Because you made your debut for Holland at 20, and we said off air that you were at Lord's when the Netherlands beat England in the World T20 competition.
Yeah, I was. That took me out of school on the Friday. We flew on a Friday morning, had a little walk around London. My dad and a very close friend of his, and then we went to the game in the evening, which one side of the ground was fully in orange, which was quite amazing to see, and definitely the loudest part of the stadium. And we saw a pretty big upset, I guess, but I think we won the toss I don't think England hit a single six, and we hit our first six, I think, somewhere in the second or third over. So, that there was a few things that we managed to do and luckily get across the line on the last ball with a Stuart Broad overthrow. But I was in the crowd and remember that day like it was yesterday.
And that was when you had those Aussies playing for you. Dirk Nannes was playing, wasn't he?
Yeah. We had, I think Dirk Nannes played 2 games for the Dutch team, which was England and Pakistan at that World Cup. And after that, he made his debut for Australia. So that's all the service we got out of him. But it was actually quite exciting to see that some of the Dutch talent actually made a big impact in that game against England, and not sort of the duo passport holders who just come in for the big games and then fly out again. So just to see the guys who are playing their domestic cricket in Holland and actually grew up playing the game in Holland being sort of the superstars of that game was actually probably the biggest highlight of all.
You joined Somerset in 2016. How did that come about?
I decided to move to the UK, playing club cricket in Newcastle. And actually, Tim van der Gucht, who signed for Glamorgan at the end of the 2015 summer, gave me a message if I was in the UK. And we had the World Cup just before the UK summer started in India. And I got 2 for 18 or something against Bangladesh and 4 for 11 against Ireland in a rain-affected game. And they were quite impressed. So he said, do you want a trial for Glamorgan? So I made my way to Glamorgan, and the second trial game was against Somerset. And I can't remember taking a wicket, but apparently they were also impressed. I think I bought like a 10-over spell in a 3-day game. And they invited me over, and then played with Marcus Trescothick, who was fielding in second slip because there was like a white ball block going on. And Chris Rogers, who was the 4-day captain of Somerset at the time, was at mid-on. And we played against Kent away in the second team game, and I took a 5-wicket haul. And they were, apparently the feedback from them was quite good. So that's how I made my way to Taunton in 2016, and then had 3.5 years there.
Yeah, that must have been a fantastic experience, playing with the likes of Marcus Trescothick, Chris Rogers.
Yeah, no, like especially in the second team game, when you try and improve, I think out of the whole squad of players we had in 2016 days, those were the two players who you wanted to be around and watch the ball. And if someone like Marcus Trescothick and Chris Rogers are probably impressed, then that will help a long way in securing a contract, I guess.
And you said you played with them for 3.5 years. Did you? We're getting close to the sort of COVID year, but did you get released from your contract? Yeah, so unfortunately, I lost my contract in 2019, which was frustrating for a few sort of reasons, but I guess that's part of the job and part of professional cricket. And then sort of I was looking to find a new contract in 2020, but before that season started, the COVID happened. So all the clubs were pretty much in their own biosecure bubble, weren't allowed to have any trialists in. There was no second team cricket being played. So 2020 was pretty much a write-off in sort of fighting or trying to earn and impress someone for a new contract. I did 4 weeks of training with Leicester in the last month. And that's about it. And then, there was a little bit of interest from them to do some indoor training, but then the second lockdown happened. So again, that winter was again a write-off. So that was an interesting period, I guess. But I think in hindsight, it was personal development kind of period, which I came which was brilliant for me, I think, from a personal development kind of thing. I did some other things on the side, which was quite exciting. So, because you find this with quite a few people with COVID in that particular period, they took up other activities, educational things. Is that how what happened to you? Because whereas other people found it very difficult to cope with the isolation.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is obviously all my close friends and family, they live in the Netherlands. So COVID or not, I don't see them that often anyway. So for me, that isolation bit, which the first lockdown I did with my ex-girlfriend, which really helped. So just for me, not being able to see friends and family, I kind of was already used to anyway. So for me, it was just trying to stay busy. And during that first lockdown, I set up a players' association called the Dutch Cricketers Association, which in the UK is the PTA, who sort of are the voice of the players. So that was quite exciting to launch that and get that off the floor. And then I played a little bit the second half of 2020. The club cricket picked up, so I did that in Chesterfield. And then I just tried to stay busy doing the Players Association and sort of going from strength to strength with that. And during the second winter, or during the winter 2020, 2021, I did a bit of Uber Eats delivering, so I could just pay my bills at the end of the month, which actually was a very relaxing job, to be fair. I just set my music on, streamed some Dutch radio on the Fridays and Saturday evenings when I mainly did it, and just, it was sort of a great way to relax and not think about any other stresses in life. I think some people might go running and find that very relaxing, but every time I start running, after about 2 or 3 minutes, I'm actually in a darker place, because I just want to stop, and it hurts and it's tiring, and I don't enjoy that. Where when I got into my car and just picking up deliveries here and there from the local restaurants and dropping them off, I found very relaxing, and just listening to a bit of music. So all in all, it was personal development wise and overcoming some challenges was pretty good. So for me, COVID, even though it was probably for the world and for some people a horrible period, personally for me, I kind of enjoyed it and took a lot out of it.
Well, you're famous for this Uber Eats deliveries. Was that in the UK or were you in Holland then?
No, all the way in the UK. So that was in Chesterfield. I moved from Taunton to the Midlands after the first lockdown, and I stayed in Chesterfield for that winter and the majority of the next summer, and then end of 2021 summer, I played the 50 over Cup for Durham, and then during that period, I got picked up by Gloucester. So then I went from Taunton up to sort of Newcastle and then back to the southwest, where I'm living now again.
Well, on the subject of travelling, I wanted to talk about your franchise career, because you played, as we've talked about earlier, in the BPL, the CPL, you played in the Blast, you played in the Lanka Premier League, and you've even played in Canada, in Winnipeg. What are all the different challenges in those 5 different competitions, and how do they differ?
That's a good question. I think the CPL was probably what I would have called the first major franchise league that I played in, and to play, as I think I played 5 or 8 games, which was a lot more than I thought I would play, and to win it was quite a special feeling. And Canada also sort of happened via the Dutch Cricket Board, and I guess we had probably the weakest team, but we played at a small ground and the flat wickets. So the bowling, any bowler was more a bowling machine than a skillful operator, I guess. And we somehow managed to win that. But that was definitely a little bit more relaxed and probably not as professional, so to say. And then I guess the World Cup set me up for the Lanka Premier League, which was obviously in December, which was challenging because there was a lot of cricket in a very short period of time, and again probably didn't perform as well as I would have liked. And Bangladesh it's a lot better with sort of a bit more time off and training opportunities and just sort of getting into the flow in how they operate here in Bangladesh. Just seeing all these different cultures and different way of approaching the game, it's definitely been a big learning curve.
It must be pretty intense as a fast bowler. You must be on having a massage all the time, or be on that table.
Yeah, I think a lot of people already knew I spent a lot of time on the bat, but yeah, especially the first couple of weeks, getting over the flight and sort of getting straight into a competitive mode, and saw me on the physio bed quite a bit the first couple of days. But the body is sort of now in competitive mode, and I'm definitely a lot more bowling fit at the moment. So there's a lot less spent on the physio bed and the masseur bed, and just trying to stay on the park at the moment.
And when you're bowling in T20, as a bit of an obvious sort of statement, but are wickets now so much the key? I mean, you can get hit for 6, then get hit for, say, another 6, but if you can get the batsman out with a third ball, you're still probably doing a good job.
Yeah, it depends per game, and it depends on the mindset per bowler. I tend to, my mindset is very much trying to go for as least amount of runs as I go, and hopefully by doing that, I build enough pressure for the batsman to make a mistake. And if you ball a Jeffer in between that gets you a wicket, that's bonus. But I'm trying just to be as economical as possible, and hopefully put the batters under pressure for either the bowler on the other end or for me to get the rewards of that. I had a few chats with Dirk Nannes at the World Cup when he was when he was the commentator at our games, and he had a very similar mindset. So he was all about trying to bowl as many dot balls and singles as possible, and pick up his wickets that way. And he was quite a successful bowler. So I was quite happy to find out that he had a similar approach to the game. So that gave me a lot of confidence going into sort of the back end of that T20 World Cup.
But I guess it must be hard though if during an over you do go for 3 or 4 boundaries in a row, because to not fall apart as a bowler.
No, yeah, sometimes it's not that much fun to bowl, especially on the flat wickets. And I guess I don't like if I execute 4 balls in a row and they still go to the boundary, I'm probably not as upset, and I'm still quite positive. But so some days the ball doesn't come out the way you want, and you don't have that much control. And when you then keep disappearing to the boundary, it's very hard to even finish off your over. Like sometimes there are times after 3 or 4 balls where you just want to walk away and want someone else to finish the over. But unfortunately, we can't. And at those times, it's quite challenging. But the more you get in those situations, the better you can deal with it, and hopefully, sort of, the outcome is going to be in your favor more often than not.
And are you getting more and more data when you're playing in these various competitions?
There probably is going to be more data, but I don't probably use them as much as I maybe should. Or, I think data can be very helpful, but using it too much can be a downfall. I mean, my data on the wickets at the World Cup are probably going to be a lot better than the data when I bowl in county cricket during the blast, and the wickets are a lot flatter and the grounds are a lot smaller. So it's more about how and when you use the data instead of just looking at it, because cricket is such a different game in any continent you play, in every country you play. So I personally don't tend to look in it too deeply, because if you play in the UK where the boundaries are smaller, a miss hit can go for 6, where if you bowl the same ball and the batsman hit it the same way in places like South Africa or Australia, they get caught on the boundary. So I don't tend to look at it too deeply. Hopefully, if you got a good team analyst who gives you the right information and sort of if a player scoops or not in the depth, and trying to understand really what his strengths and weaknesses are, that's sort of the data I kind of use and go with. It's not about sort of see what's worked for me. It's just individual plans against individual players and again individual grounds, I guess, is what I'm more interested in than then looking at my own data and see what's happening.
And moving ahead to Gloucestershire 2023, are you going straight from Bangladesh to Bristol?
I will be flying back to Bristol. Obviously, we still got pre-season starting in March. And we've got a trip to South Africa and Zimbabwe with the Dutch team in March. So it looks like I'll be going to South Africa and Zimbabwe with the Dutch team to sort of do my prep there. I think with Gloucester, we're staying in the UK at the moment. So just being actually away in March when you know you're going to have good weather and competitive cricket is probably better for me anyway. But we'll see where the season takes us. We had a up and down season, I guess, last year, which very much was a transition year with the club, with a new coach, new director of cricket. And I feel like this year, hopefully we can fight for promotion to Div 1. And last year we probably were 1 or 2 games away in the 50 over T20 format to qualify for the playoffs. So hopefully we can get a few more performances in there and then hopefully maybe take away a little bit of silverware and the white ball stuff, as we weren't far away last year.
And is your contract a white ball contract, and would you like to play red ball?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely open to play red ball cricket. I've made my intentions to the coach very clear. So yeah, I'm definitely available for red ball cricket. I'm on a all 3 format deal at the moment. So we'll see. Hopefully can stay on all 3 formats for 2024. But I probably need to show a little bit more in the red ball department to sort of guarantee that. But I'll definitely be working for it and trying my best to stay relevant in all 3 formats of the game, because I think from a job security point of view, that's the way it's going at the moment in county cricket, unless you're sort of a white ball specialist and get picked up regularly in the franchise leagues. But at the moment, I'm guessing there's a few opportunities now knocking around with so much franchise cricket, and hopefully I'm one good tournament or a couple of strong performances away to sort of get picked up regularly in the white ball stuff, and then we'll see what happens. But I enjoy the challenge of red ball cricket. So at the moment my body can probably still handle the red ball stuff. So as long as that's the case, I'm happy to play all 3 formats.
Well, you're still young yet, so.
Well, 30 is. I'm probably halfway through my career, if not just past it. So, I'll probably past the halfway point. I've been playing for the Dutch team for 10 years. I don't think I've got another 10 years left in me. So very much coming towards sort of the business end to my career, so to say. Well,
you played 8 ODIs and 58 T20s. What about the 100? Will you be putting your name forward for that?
I've put my name for it so far. But again, the first year I wasn't contracted in the county. And last year I probably didn't have a full season with the county and probably wasn't able to put enough performances in to sort of get picked up in that mini draft I think we had last year. So I've put my name again in this year. I think the draft is in March, and hopefully some of my performances last year in the World Cup has helped me maybe get picked up there in a team. But if not, there's a 50 over comp on with Gloucester, so I'll be playing cricket either way.
What about some international wise for the Netherlands in 2023?
Good question. We've got the Africa Tour in March, and then we've got a 50 over World Cup qualifier in June in Zimbabwe, which is probably going to be quite challenging for the KNCB, as we've got so many guys playing in England during the T20 stuff, and at the moment the counties are the teams that pay our bills, so it's really hard to commit to the Dutch team doing those sort of T20 blocks and county stuff. So that's going to be a big challenge, but there will be some international cricket there, and that's it at the moment. So the stuff that we know, which is confirmed, is Africa in March, the World Cup 50 over World Cup qualifier, and the T20 World Cup in 2024. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we find out a little bit more about what the rest of the summer is looking for international-wise.
Well, talking about the summer, it's the Ashes this summer. So I thought I'd be asking each guest now what they thought would happen between England and Australia. Is Bazball going to prevail against the Aussies?
I think they got a better chance the way they're playing their cricket at the moment. Looking at the last two Ashes series, is definitely not going to be as one-sided, I reckon. So I'm not going to put my money on England as of yet, definitely because I grew up supporting the Aussies. So I still definitely have a stronger Aussie preference. But it's definitely going to be a more exciting and balanced contest, I reckon, this year than it was the last two times around.
So why did you grow up supporting the Australians?
We didn't have cricket on TV, and sort of the clips I saw was Shane Warne and Brett Lee and Glenn McGrath, that golden era of Australian cricket when I grew up. So whatever I saw, that's what I saw, and that's sort of the team then I started following a bit more and supporting. So that's why my support is with the Australian team over the English team.
Well, on that note, and on the note that you earlier mentioned that the Netherlands have never lost a T20 international to England. I haven't checked that, but I know we lost in 2009.
Yeah, 2009 and 2014. But after last summer, I'm sure there are plenty of England supporters that want to remind us that we pretty much went for 500 in the ODI. Which I didn't play in, but then also I didn't play in the two T20 internationals that we beat England. So I'm not sure if I've got any bragging rights of yet. But I think from as a Dutch cricket fan, I can proudly say we never lost against England in T20 international cricket.
Well, on that note, I think it's about time we stopped this week's episode of the Paddock and the Pavilion. Thank you very much, Paul, for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Pad and Pad. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.